guys, welcome back to another Weird Wednesday. I'm Ashers, and this is
Pato.
And also
Kenzie.
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. We've had so many guests lately. I love it. Well, welcome, Kenzie. This is going to be very interesting for you and for me and also for Pat. So I'm excited. Pat, how was your weekend?
It was all right. It was Mother's Day.
Yeah? Did you do anything?
Right? Yeah.
You did? You did something for your mother on Mother's Day?
Yeah, and my wife, who's also a mother.
That's right. You're married.
Yeah. So
I'm joking.
We don't make those kind of jokes when the podcast is recording.
I'm sorry,
remember?
Pat. I love you.
Yeah, especially since she approved the trip to the stopover in Dayton.
Yeah.
Over the 4th of July, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But,
I'm excited.
I know, but yeah, we had a good weekend. I spent it in the service of others, which is what I'm there for.
Yeah,
and yeah, worked on some Dino Erotica too. That project is moving forward.
Really?
So yes,
100.
Yeah, we talked about it, but 100%. By the time hopefully we record next week's episode, there will be some of the audio recorded. So wow. Fully stay tuned on that. I don't know if it's going to turn into a serialized thing or if it's just going to be a one shot done for posterity's sake, but that there's no stopping that train. It left the station.
I mean, we would definitely. I guess Kenzie doesn't know. Pat is writing Dinosaur Erotica, and we're going to. It's going to be a radio play that we're going to play for a while.
You know how fast Sarah's going to pick up on that and start reading it on our show?
Is she a fan?
She loves cryptid erotica so much. And she'll be like, oh, no, I actually hate it. It's gross. But every single time we do a live stream, we do an episode, she goes out of her way to find erotica that is relevant to what we are talking about so that she can read it to me.
That is so funny.
There's this guy, Chuck Tingle, who's basically he just writes Amazon ebooks. That's the only place they really publish this stuff.
Okay.
But it's all like crazy mashups with like dinosaurs and Harry Potter and like choose your own adventure stuff. Like he's got a choose your own adventure book that I want to pick up. You know, trying to bring that genre back.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
he does.
Right up
Which
my alley.
I was like obsessed with it as a kid, so I'm all about checking that out. But yeah, so he's kind of been an inspiration of mine, and also because there's been like, I mean, you can Google it, especially his name. Like it's very profitable, and I'm not one of these people that does things just to make money. But the idea that like you could write some like weirdo dinosaur / fiction and have it on Amazon for 99 cents, and people will just be like, "Fuck it," and download it by the hundreds or possibly thousands. Like, sign me up for that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it started as a joke on Twitter between myself and some other podcasters, and it just kind of picked up steam. And, you know, now we're doing the second draft of the script this weekend, and then we're going to start recording. And
it's you know, it's interesting. It's not just dinosaurs; it's got aliens in it too. So it'll be
right. Well, it covers a lot of different bases.
That's true. Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see part 2. I'm excited for this to kind of see what people think about it because, like I said, there's a big audience around it. So I don't know, but okay.
Yeah, so I got that. And then one more thing I want to plug real quick. If you happen to live in the Chicagoland area, May 23rd, Sunday, May 23rd, I'm hosting a Dungeons & Dragons live event at Rock Island Public House in beautiful downtown Blue Island. And it's from 5 to 8 p.m. Rock Island Public House also is like a drive-in. Well, it's a bar. It's a craft beer bar, but they have they do like a drive-in movie theater in the parking lot on the weekends. And that night they're showing Repo Man, which of course we've talked about extensively on the show. So yeah, so come out, play D&D 5e for a couple hours, and then stick around and watch Repo Man. And it's a school night, but fuck it, whatever.
That sounds awesome. That's also my birthday. I wish I was in Chicago. I'd come and celebrate my birthday.
Happy early birthday.
Happy birthday in advance.
Yes, I know. Everybody wish Kenzie a happy birthday.
Are you finally going to be able to legally drink those Truly seltzers?
Yeah, by 5 years.
So it's your 5th annual 21st birthday. Very nice.
Yep.
I love those. That's great. Oh. Well, that's exciting. I would say I'd put a link in the description, but Pat insists that I don't do that. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys.
It's not true. Fuck you. No, it's all right.
That sounds fun. Actually, that does sound fun. I definitely I need to come there. Not for that, but I need to come to Chicago.
We'll play D&D.
I will. I'll do it. I mean, I'm not opposed to trying it. That's for sure. So I mean, yeah, if that's something you want to do, I'm down. Would you guys like to see me and Pat play D&D together? Maybe there's a demand for that. I don't know if it's as demandful as the.
If we could only figure out how to stream it on YouTube and then incorporate a like choose your own adventure aspect to it.
Yes.
That would be fun.
People vote for what we do next.
That would be really cool.
It wouldn't.
Yes, it would. I guess I'd be the one playing it. So you're right. I guess if I was in the audience, it'd be different. But anyway, my weekend was good. I didn't have a baby, but my sister had a baby, and it happened very fast, and it just was still really weird because he's like just now hit. Like he's a little over a day old, and so it's still strange how quickly things happen. Babies aren't born in like a couple of hours, right? So she goes to the doctor. She goes to the hospital at 10 a.m.
No, it takes like 9 months, right?
Wow. Yeah, a little bit. But she goes to the doctor at like 10 a.m. and she has the baby by 7 p.m. that night. I mean, it was fast. So
yeah, that's really quick.
Just not what people were expecting. And she lives a little far, so the next couple of days. I mean, I'll get this out. I'm home tonight, but the next couple of days, once she gets home, I'll be out of town with my sister. So that'll be great. So if you see lots of baby pictures, I'm sorry in advance for the people that don't like kids, but hey, it is what it is. But I didn't do anything else. I mean, yeah, it was Mother's Day, but it was rainy in Ohio, so we just stayed home and did nothing, which was probably the best thing that I can ask for Mother's Day.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty nice day.
Wonderful. So, anyway, onto the news. I'm excited to talk about some of these. Speaking of Mother's Day, a woman in Mali gave birth to 9 live babies. 9
Oh my
of them.
God.
And now this is the most this is the new record for live babies. The last one we had was Octomom, which I'm sure a lot of people are roughly familiar with. But she had 5 girls and 4 boys. Now they insist. Now this is in right outside of Morocco, I believe it is. Now they insist that she did not have fertility treatments, which is almost impossible to be pregnant with 9 babies without fertility treatments, because typically that's what happens. That's what happened in the case of Octomom. They implant multiple fertilized eggs in your uterus, and they don't expect you to keep them on. Now, with fertility treatments, they do expect you to at least have like 2 or 3 of them, but they don't typically expect you to have all of them. So that's a mystery, but they're all good. Everybody's good. Mom, did have some blood loss and things like that, but she is doing fine. All the babies are doing fine. They each weigh 1 to 2 pounds each. So it's
well, that doesn't sound good. I'm not trying to pass judgment, but like,
it doesn't. I can't imagine having 9 babies at one point in time in my life. I mean, 1 is a lot. That's.
I know.
That's no thank you. 1 cries, and then the rest of them just fucking go off, and then you're just stuck in this screaming baby nightmare. Yeah, no, thank you. Maybe I don't know if she'll get rid of some of them. Probably.
Yeah, that's when you start selling them on eBay.
Right, I got these fresh babies.
Right?
That sounds like a nightmare.
It is.
Well, that's the thing. They thought she was only having 7. No, only 7 babies.
That's still so many.
Right, that's still a lot. But then, come to find out there was 2 more. Can you imagine? You're like, it's like a puppy. It's like a dog having puppies.
I can't imagine having 1 baby, let alone suddenly 9.
No.
I would immediately be on the phone with the Discovery Channel trying to figure out what we could mash this shit up with. I'm like, okay, what if we're all cryptid hunters?
Yeah.
Right? Or what if we get in a minivan and we get in an RV and we go looking for Bigfoot? Can we have a fucking show?
That would be amazing. I'd watch it.
At that point, you have to start getting creative, because you're like, I don't know how the fuck I'm buying food for all these kids unless they start eating each other or some shit. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's that's a lot of babies. She probably will contact. No, I watched this thing on Octomom once, and it was about her life and stuff. She went on to do porn and made lots of money doing it.
Good for her.
And right, exactly. And she was really successful in that avenue. And she kind of did OnlyFans before there was OnlyFans for a long time. I think she's back to doing it again. But
I'll research that immediately, because I seem to remember she was fairly attractive. Continue on.
She was good at it. I mean, people wanted to see Octomom, get her groove on, which is great. But The thing is that she had 8 kids, and 8 kids is expensive, and so she's definitely had her financial hardships. I mean, I just can't. I can't imagine having 9 of them. So will this woman in Mali do that? I hope so. I hope she does. I hope she finds her way. So
there's she's just got some solo videos, and there's a video of her riding a simian on the Howard Stern show.
Wait, so you're looking
so
at
we need to get a simian
right
we need to get a simian for Wednesdays Talk Weird. That's what. Put that on your Amazon wish list.
I will.
All right.
That'll be Patreon exclusive video.
Yes, exactly.
Oh
Let's start a Patreon just to get a simian for this fucking podcast.
You know what's really sad is that it'd probably be funded in like a day.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Whose house do we keep it at though? Do we ship it back and forth? How does that work?
Yeah, I guess so. We take turns. You get it on the weekends, I get it on the weekdays, whatever. So that was interesting. All right. So another topic of discussion here that everybody's talking about are these mushrooms on Mars. Pat, have you seen this?
Yeah, of course. That was on my radar immediately.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I was just still there. Kenzie, have you seen the Mars mushrooms?
Oh, sorry. I didn't know you were talking to me.
Okay.
No, I have not. That sounds terrifying.
Space
mushrooms? I'm allergic to mushrooms, and I'm like very off-put by them in general.
Mushrooms are very strange. I don't want to say things because they're alive. So I mean, creatures. They're really interesting because there's theories about mushrooms that mushrooms aren't even from Earth. It doesn't make sense for them to live here.
What?
And we really can't track them back. Also the same, I believe. I don't want to say for sure. I'm almost positive though it's the same with the Venus flytrap. We cannot piece it together in our evolution with other plant. Now I'm not great at plants, but with other plants and see kind of where it started and where it got to here. But mushrooms are like that. They do believe that mushrooms possibly came over on a meteorite.
Transperma.
Oh my God.
Transperma? Is that what you said?
Transperma. That's what it's called. Yeah, that's the theory that life originated from microorganisms that crash landed to Earth on comets.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I don't think the things that I've heard are exactly on that big of a scale. I've heard of that though. I just think what they're saying is that mushrooms themselves and then also Venus flytraps came over on a meteorite, and that's why they're here, and they just kind of adapted to the environment. So that's and that's a theory of sorts. Again, I don't know too much about it because I just don't know too much about plants. But I do know those little tidbits. So what they're saying is that they found there are pictures. So we've got the new rover on Mars right now, right? Perseverance. And what they're saying is that in specific pictures you can see mushrooms growing, but I think you can also see them on the rover itself, maybe on Curiosity, because Curiosity is still up there. Maybe you can see it on Curiosity. I don't remember exactly. This was like the beginning of last week now. But NASA's not really investigating it. And kind of, what they say every time we kind of see something, because once Curiosity went up there, we had all those pictures. We had like the Bigfoot on Mars, and we had like the mole rat on Mars and things like that. And they're just like, oh, they're just rocks and shadows. It just looks weird. But how can they explain away these mushrooms? Now, what they're saying with these mushrooms is that you can see very specific fungi and that, they're growing there. And if they are, I mean, that would be, kind of a big deal. So I don't know. Why do you think NASA's not really answering to this? And Pat, you said you'd kind of know about it.
Yeah, they, it's under debate whether or not they're actually fungus in the pictures,
right?
So they're not completely sold on it yet. I think it'd be cool, But I mean, you're right. I'm old enough to remember that picture of like the face of the man on Mars.
Yeah,
where it was like a peak, but there was a shadow, and it kind of looked like a nose. And that's just what we do is we look up at the sky and we think we see shit. We make up stories, So
maybe. I mean, one point that they made was that what we could do is we could take that soil and we could test it. We can do that and test it for spores. And if there are spores, then obviously those are mushrooms. So why aren't they jumping on doing that? I mean, especially right now with the space race kind of going on, we talked about previously. Why not do that?
Mm-hmm.
What would the harm be and testing it and just making sure? I mean, I guess money. But right now we're kind of throwing all the money in the world at these space programs. So it would seem now would be the time to do it before, the funding runs out and they go, never mind. So I don't know. I thought, I think that that's cool. What do I think about it right now? I mean, it looks like it. It looks like it could be. But again, we don't know until we can test that soil, and I'm kind of going to be up in the air until then. So, another thing that I kind of wanted to bring up, and this is kind of just more for the people that follow me in general and kind of the things that I do. A lot of you know that I work with an organization known as Parachills, and they have been having this, which is it's an international investigation organization, and I am the director for their Department of Fortean Studies. And one of the things that they do is have like these different shows on YouTube where we kind of have a panel and we do different things. So they've started this one that they do on Wednesdays, and it is about the current state of the UAP disclosure and kind of what's happening there. I haven't been able to make these shows. I mean, Wednesday, I have a lot going on every day.
We're usually talking weird.
We're talking weird, exactly. So I had a lot to do. However, I happened to just kind of enter the room because I do like to show up and kind of show my support, and again, they're live. So I like to say, hey guys, what's up? Especially because that's supposed to be my department. I don't know why they would schedule this without me, but okay. Anyway, so I show up and there's this guy on there and he's going by the name of Sneaky Toaster, and he's actually on the panel, which is unusual for the Parachills people. They don't typically let people up on panel like that. It's not really like an open discussion. It's, it's pretty close, but they got this guy up there. And he's making some pretty big claims, and he's talking about all this stuff that nobody should really know, but he's talking about all this deep kind of conspiracy stuff. Well, turns out he says that he's a government contractor, and he's speaking out because now's the time. Things are being disclosed, and he knows these things. He can't tell you what he does or why he does it or where he works, where he does it at, but he knows all these things. Now, of course, I get up there, and some of the things that he was saying was kind of right on the money, but some of it was kind of strange. And, I did find it all kind of very odd, but not in the good odd. And, first of all, I find it weird. Parachills is not a large channel. I think they've got like less than 5,000 subscribers. Why, if the guy has this much information, why are you going to these small channels telling people? But I hear he's kind of bopping around the small channel circuit to tell people about these things. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because we're the only people that are stupid enough to listen. I'm not sure. But, he is. He's kind of going around telling everybody. But some of the science and things that he was mentioning was wrong. And then, like, I noticed, one thing that I noticed, and one thing with these people, because I have two informants that work at the base at Right Pat, or one's retired and one works there. And, there's kind of some things that I like to look for when people come out and say, hey, I work for the government. I know things about the government. He wouldn't quote any documents whenever he was talking about stuff. Like he would make like a big claim and wouldn't quote where you could find that claim in any of these disclosed documents over the many years that the government has been disclosing, declassifying these documents. But he would make references to media. So he would keep going back to like guests on Joe Rogan and books and things like that. Now, while that isn't a bad thing, I do think that the guy is simply an enthusiast, and I don't think that there's anything to it. So if you guys come across this Sneaky Toaster, that's what he got.
Funny name.
Jesus, you really just fucking said that.
Yeah,
Sneaky Toaster.
The Sneaky Toaster. I don't think that he really knows as much.
That's not just a clever name.
Yeah, right. Maybe that's what he does, guys. He's the government's toaster. I don't know. He's actually a toaster.
No, it's a disinformation campaign.
It kind of is, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. What did we learn last month, Charlie Brown, with the fucking CIA infiltrating Hate Street with the hippies and shit in the 60s and Charles Manson? Like,
that's true.
You don't think they would have people infiltrating the cryptid communities to talk shit online and spread disinformation?
Well,
I feel like, what's the point?
Well,
like I feel like of all the communities, because there are like known hoaxers that just make shit up and are like, haha, fooled them. But I feel like the cryptozoology community is like small enough that's like, what's the point?
Well, what's the point is that if you honestly believe that any of this shit could be real, and that there's some of these things existence is being kept from the general public, then the point is to keep the existences kept from the general public and to discredit any type of research to prove the validity of this stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
I mean, if you think it's real, if you think everyone's just kind of fucking yanking their crank and all this shit's bullshit, then no, it makes absolutely no sense for them to have any interest in this. But if you think that this is real, or there's a possibility that this is real, then it's very likely that there's some type of cover up going on, and that they would have an interest in preserving.
It could be. It could be.
Yeah.
I just, I would like to invite this sneaky toaster. Come on the show.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's get
come on the show
up here.
Yeah, we can talk about. I mean, I did end up getting on that panel for a little bit, but there was like 5 other people there, and I really didn't get to talk to him much one-on-one. But Sneaky Toaster, I will talk to you. And if you're not comfortable, coming on the show and kind of discuss, because I know some things, and I can't disclose on the show. However, I will be more than happy to talk to you in private, if you would like, and if you're really serious and you really are a government contractor and you really know the truth about things, let's get it out there, man. Do it through me. I'm not afraid. Everybody already knows if I die, it's because they took me out. So,
right. That's the only way that's the only.
That's the only way. Yeah.
Same here. It's not heart disease. It's not somebody's fucking husband coming for me. It's 100% I was assassinated by the fucking CIA. No matter how my death looks.
That's what it is. I'm telling you.
100%.
Yeah, that's what it is. When I don't care.
Was it the years of hard living?
Yeah, right. I'll be 112. I'll finally keel over, and people will be like, "Oh, they got her. It's a conspiracy.
Finally got her."
It's not the fucking Everclear.
That's my legacy. But no, Sneaky Toaster, really, I will talk to you. So I just wanted to put that out there. But that's kind of all.
Do we know? All right,
go ahead.
Real quick, not to dwell on this like that much longer, but do we know where they're based out of?
Nope, no idea. No, he was on the week before, because that's what I was kind of asking. I was asking I was like private messaging my people. I'm like, who is this person? Who is? And they're just like, some guy. I'm like, okay.
And is this in that thing that you invite me to, the app thing?
Oh, Clubhouse? No, we're going to talk about Clubhouse though very soon.
Oh yeah.
But no, this is on YouTube. This is through the Parachills YouTube channel. And
right, I was paying attention to that. Okay, cool.
So he will probably be back again tomorrow. Is what I suspect.
Let me know.
Oh, I'm sorry. He'll be back again today. My bad. But I'll try to get the episode out before that. I don't know. So I'll let you know though, Pat. I'll send you the link if you want it. And we'll see. But well, I mean, come aboard, guy. I've got all the questions for you. I'm very curious, for you to answer them directly. So, and that's another thing, you ask him a question and he doesn't just he kind of drags on and on and on. So he'll pretend to answer the question in the beginning of a statement, and then he'll segue into something else. And that's kind of his way of not really directly answering your question. Then he talks so long about so many other topics that by that point, he expects that you're exhausted and you're not going to go back and pick apart the statement that he just said. And I'm like, oh, well, that's a good sign of a good storyteller. I just think the guy wants to be involved. And you know what, guy, let me tell you, this community is really, really wholesome. We invite everybody into it. If you just want to be involved, you can do that. You don't have to lie. You can just be yourself and join the discussion. We love you. So, but anyway, enough about that. Pat, did you have anything to add before I move on here?
No, let's introduce our guest.
Wonderful. So Kenzie, hi.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Do you just kind of want to tell people who you are and kind of what you do and some of your things?
Yeah, totally. So my name is Kenzie Gleason. I'm a cryptozoology podcaster and field researcher. I have a solo podcast called the Crypto Chats Podcast, and I also have a podcast with the curator of the American Snallygaster Museum, Miss Sarah Cooper, and that is called Manic Pixie Dream Ghouls. And I'm also, like I said, a cryptid field researcher, and I work at the International Cryptozoology Museum in Portland, Maine.
Wonderful. Now we're gonna pick everything apart that you just said. First of all, I absolutely adore Sarah so much.
Yeah, I love her so much.
She's pretty. Yes, she's amazing. Now, you guys. I won't get to that yet. Okay. So I met Kenzie through. I'll tell you, I met Kenzie through the Clubhouse app, which I'm still, admittedly, I don't even really know what I'm doing half the time on there. I just know that I get to talk sometimes. So yeah, so that's how you do. But we are part of the Bigfoot Society Club there on Clubhouse with Jeremiah Byron, who's kind of made this beautiful empire, hasn't he? I mean, he's done such a good job. I'm so impressed.
It started with 6 of us, and now it's grown, and there's so many people in it. So it's really cool to see.
It's
It
a
is,
lot of
yeah.
fun, and there's definitely different there's different like shows and different varieties of shows, and I think that we'll probably kind of add and take away as we see fit
Yeah.
to the club itself. But for now, consistently we've got the Wednesday night recording of the Bigfoot Society podcast, which happens Wednesdays at what time is it? 9:30
It's
Central,
10:30 Eastern, so
10:30
9:30
Eastern.
Central.
Yeah, and then that's every Wednesday evening, which
Hmm.
so far I've pretty much been consistently there for at least the last month. So hopefully we'll be able to keep that rolling. And then my favorite, the 5 Minute Cryptozoology News every
I
Saturday at
love
2
that
p.m.
group.
or Eastern. I do too. I do
I
too.
think it's so neat. There's always so much cool stuff happening. It's nice to get everybody talking in like a really casual settings. I feel like the
Yeah,
recorded one sometimes is a little bit more
a little more buttoned up.
professional. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the news one is so much more casual. I feel like everyone really gets to like put their input in on everything that's happening, and it's a lot more fun.
Yeah, I think it is a lot of fun. I'll try not to like spoil the new, like I won't specifically go search out news and so I can like listen to it. I will and have like authentic reactions. But I love that one a lot. And then every other Thursday, which is starting this Thursday, tomorrow for you guys, will be the Cryptocasters show, which is I think 9:30 Eastern,
Yeah.
I believe, and it's about different people that run different cryptozoology podcasts, and probably I mean likely that'll expand more.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just because there's a decent amount of us, but there's not a lot of us, so
Yeah.
but it's a lot of fun to kind of discover other artists and kind of get on there, plug your own shows. It's run by Greg, who runs what is it, All Things Weird on Instagram. He's a great guy, and he loves to push out content. So,
Yeah,
but
Greg rules.
I like everybody. I don't think I haven't met anybody yet in the club. I'm like, I don't like that person.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
everybody's
everyone's great.
super friendly. I know. So, but no, that's how I was introduced to Kenzie. And actually, Kenzie, I knew about your show beforehand.
Really?
I did.
Oh, I love that.
I did. I knew about it beforehand. I think I was following it way before. Now I'm kind of, and I think a lot of us in that group we're all kind of new, right? We all kind of
Yeah.
really we all kind of really ran into this during the beginning of the pandemic. And I think that
Yeah.
a lot of us can relate to that. I know that's when I started my show was, back in April of 2020. And, a lot of us kind of have similar stories and things like that. So, but getting to know everybody's fun because even though you're new, like, that there's people that's just as new as you are. So, but we
Yeah.
also have some very seasoned people, which is
Yeah,
wonderful.
for sure. I mean, for me, it was more like I started doing my like cryptozoology stuff on the internet with my name on it.
Mhm.
I started in August of last year. I was a little
Okay.
late to the game, but I've been doing this like research and this field investigation for years. I just, was like, well, it doesn't need to be a thing. Like I could just keep it to myself. And then I was like, well, might as well have some fun with it. It's something I love. So like, might as well put it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and especially, like I said, it's not like people are paying us to go out and go investigate these things. So like
Exactly.
it doesn't hurt to like come up with other creative ways to
Yeah,
make
exactly.
money off of the job that you do, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so no, I'm here for it. But yeah, so it's kind of just been a long time coming having you on the show. Eventually I'll probably just circle through circuit through everybody with the clubhouse at least.
Yeah.
Get everybody on, 'cause everybody's so great and everybody makes something and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Clubhouse, if you need an invite, let me know. They just opened up for Android users. I do believe I have a couple of invites left, and I will get you guys on there if you want to.
I have 12. So if
You have
anyone
12
wants to
of
hit, yeah, I have so many. I don't know why. I've only invited like 4 people ever.
I don't either.
I
don't
think
know how
every
the
single
invites
time
work.
I look, I have more, and I'm like, I don't know that many people. Why do you keep giving me these?
The more you invite, the more you get, I guess. I think that's how it works. I don't know how
Yeah.
it works either. I think I have like 5 or something left. Oh, and they'll
Well, if
probably
anyone
give me
else
more.
needs an invite, you let me know because I have
I
so
will.
many to give.
I will do that. Yeah. Well, we're gonna have your social medias and all that
Cool.
in the description, so people will definitely be able to get a hold of you.
Nice.
So yeah. So you started. So I got introduced to the group via Sarah Cooper, and I have no
Mhm.
idea how I met her. She just kind of appeared one day, and I love it. Like
That sounds about right.
I do. I absolutely adore her. I cannot wait. We're all actually. I'm pretty sure. Basically, all of us are going to be at CryptidCon this year,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's gonna be so much fun.
That's going to be like incredible. Like we're going to like have to rent out a bar and all do karaoke
Yes.
together and like really just like leave our mark on Lexington Lexington, Kentucky.
Well, and that's what I was like. I just rented our Airbnb for it, and it's me and Anne going, and I did it with the thought in mind that maybe everybody kind of wants to get back together at some point, and maybe come by, and so but I don't know. Maybe other people did that too. We'll just see who has the coolest.
Oh yeah, Sarah and I have been planning to throw a party from the beginning.
Do it.
So don't you worry. We have already got it in the works.
Okay. Well, I'll let you guys handle it then. Whatever. Either way, I'll be there, and I will be very drunk. So.
Hell yeah.
But anyway, so you guys just had this event. You guys just met for the first time this past weekend. Is that right?
Yeah, I drove down to Maryland for her whiskey tasting event, and we met for the first time. It was incredible. Sarah and I have very similar personalities, and we have the same sense of humor. We're very much like the same person in different bodies.
Yeah.
So meeting was just like, hanging out with an old friend. And I know you saw our new episode, but filming together in the same room was so much fun.
Yeah.
We were both losing our minds. Like we filmed at 12:30 at night. We had been drinking all day. We went drunk ghost hunting before we started filming, and we were so tired. But it was so much fun, and I was like, if we could do every episode like this, it would be a blast. Because filming over Zoom, also a great time. And we get along really well over Zoom as well. But I think our banter when we're together is just so much more fun.
Yeah, I didn't see this week's episode because it just came out yesterday. Well, fuck it, whatever.
I think technically today.
Recently, yeah. But I know I was saying yesterday because this podcast comes out on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, I watched the two previous to that, and you guys do have great chemistry.
Thank you.
And you're very funny and entertaining, and the fact that you drink during the whole thing was refreshing as well.
Oh yeah. Me and Sarah have gotten in arguments because we do a lot of Instagram lives together too. Usually after we record, we'll go live on Instagram and just chat with everybody, and we get in fights sometimes because we drink different drinks. Well, and Sarah's
technically, I mean, she's drinking White Claws and you're drinking the Truly Seltzer.
Yeah, well, I drink the tea ones, so she's of the opinion that White Claws are superior, and I don't agree. So we argue about it sometimes, but at the end of the day, we're both still drunk, so that's what really matters.
Doesn't matter. Everybody wins. That's true. That's true. I'm not into those. I just had my first. I think it was a White Claw at that bonfire I had 2 weeks ago. I don't drink. Listen. If I drink, guys, I'm coming to get drunk, and
that's fair.
White Claw will drive you there. Definitely.
Oh yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah, because they go down. They're a clean wash, so they're not like a too much of an aftertaste. Depends on what kind you get, though.
Yeah.
But they go down real easy. They're great for chasing shots, and they definitely sneak up on you too.
Oh yes, they really do. I like White Claw. I do like White Claws. I just prefer these other ones because they just taste better.
Sure.
My one friend was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a little buzzed," and she had drank 5 of them, and I'm like, "Aren't you full?"
I don't know what was going on there. She might have been on acid or something too, but
she's just friends, guys. I hang with alcoholics. I don't know.
Yeah, usually between 2 and 3, you're pretty good, and then if you smoke with them or whatever, things can spiral quick.
Yeah,
which is kind of what makes them fun. It's they're rolling the dice, man. See what happens.
They also have no calories in them, and they don't have sugar in them, so you don't get as hungover the next day.
That's true.
In theory, but it depends what you're doing along. Yeah, you don't necessarily get the pancreatic shock or whatever from ODing on sugar, but I shoot alcohol and I'll smoke dope and shit too. So it all at some point.
It all hits you.
Co-mingles.
It doesn't feel great the next day. I know. Period. It just depends on how drunk. I mean, my drink of choice, everybody knows, is rum and Coke. And that's just kind of what I do. Very heavy rum and Coke, but also shots of rum while I chase it with my rum and Coke. My game, it's terrible, guys. My game is always the same. I'm like, I'm gonna get really drunk really fast, and then I'm gonna stop drinking, and then I'll sober up, and then I'll be fine. Well, that never happens, and I get really drunk really fast, and then I just keep drinking.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't remember what it's like to have an actual mixed drink anymore, because I can't make mixed drinks to save my life.
Oh no.
So I never make them. But when we went down to Maryland, we're at a bar, and we got drinks, and I was like gone off of one drink, and I was like, oh my God, I forgot what it's like to drink at a bar. It's like the drinks are always so much like heavier, and you get drunk way faster.
How was it just being out in public and stuff?
Very
like,
weird. It was so weird.
Yeah, I bet. That is really weird.
Especially in a different state.
Yeah,
being out in public in a different state, like 10 hours away from where I live, I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing.
Is it really that far from you?
Well, so technically it's an 8-hour drive, but I mean, I have to drive through New York, so there's just like always a ton of traffic. Yeah, we got stuck in traffic both ways. I ended up having to drive through New York City, which was miserable.
Yeah,
and I don't want to ever do it again. I really do not like it.
I'm sure you could take a workaround and probably be about the same amount of time.
On the way back, we ended up going around instead, and we still got stuck in a ton of traffic. And I was like, okay, well.
That's wild. No, I didn't realize that there was that much of a difference. But I mean, you think you guys are all in the tiny states, and you think in the tiny states, you're kind of, which I guess you kind of are, some of the stuff like you live in one state and work in another, don't you?
Yeah. So I live in New Hampshire and I work in Maine.
That's right.
And I live like an hour away from where I work currently.
Right.
But that's not too bad. And like, I just like, you look at some of these states on the map, like Massachusetts, for example. You look at Massachusetts and you're like, that's a kind of small state. But then it takes you like 3 hours to drive through it. And you look at Connecticut and you're like, that's a small state. And then you're driving into Connecticut for so long. You're like, how am I still in Connecticut?
It's like impossible to get through.
Also, the Jersey Turnpike is the longest road on the planet, I'm convinced, because I was driving on it for like 5 hours and I was like, where am I?
It's like the Bermuda Triangle. It's just, you lose time.
Literally. I was like, I'm pretty sure I've started at the beginning like 3 times now.
Oh. It's terrible. Well, Pat and I, we're both Midwesterners, so like, Pat knows we drive everywhere. Like, we don't really fly anywhere. We just drive everywhere.
Yeah.
we're like, whatever. It's a 9-hour drive. It ain't that far.
Well, it's like, it's weird because being from New England, it's like I can drive an hour in any direction and be in a different state. So driving through one state for 3 hours is like incredibly weird and just like does not feel right at all.
St. Louis is kind of like my cutoff. Like that's like 5.5 hours from here. And anything longer than that, and I think I would get super antsy.
Yeah.
Milwaukee's an hour and a half. Indiana, we can drive pretty much from here to the border of Ohio, Indiana, and that's 3 hours. But like when you start talking about like 5.5, 6 hours, like I don't know if I could do more than that in a day. That's like I would need to stop somewhere,
I guess that makes sense. I guess I don't mind it so much. I'm a good. Well, first of all, I don't drive these places. Anne does, so she's the driver. But you gotta have a good road tripping buddies. You know what I mean? Like doing that with my kid, no. Doing that with a couple of friends and a couple of joints, hell yes. It's a big difference.
Well, see, I drove down with my best friend too, and like we've spent a lot of time in a car together. So I was like, this is not that bad. Even like with all the traffic, I was like, this is fine. But me and Sarah have a lot of events coming up this year, and it's going to be a lot of me driving 8 hours down to Maryland, a lot of the time by myself. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that's true. I guess once you do it so often, I mean, it just kind of, I guess I get so excited for the destination anyway. I mean, most of the time if we're taking a trip anywhere, it's for investigations. And so,
yeah, that's true.
And it's always not always, it's either somewhere that I know is going to have, I've never been to, so I'm excited to go out and explore, or it's somewhere that I've been to and I know there's a lot of activity, so I'm excited to go out and explore. So
that's very fair.
It's just kind of one of those things, but wow, but that is really cool. I'm really glad that you guys got to meet. It sounds like it ended up being kind of like a little mini cryptid event there. Is that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So there was me and Sarah, and she had her museum table, and then Jamie Snell was there, and he's an artist. He does a lot of really cool cryptid art. And as far as like cryptid creators goes, like that was it. But there were a lot of people that showed up that are also part of the community that just happened to be in the area and popped by. So it was really fun.
That sounds like it was really fun. I'm so sad I missed it. And I kind of knew about it in advance, but I was like, do I know about this long enough in advance to make it happen?
Yeah, that's fair.
She keeps inviting me to all this great stuff. She went to the, what was that? The weird and wonderful art thing or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah, the art party.
Yeah, like she went there and like she's down there, right? And then like all of a sudden my Instagram's like blowing up with all these people that are following me. And then I'm like looking at these people and I'm looking that they like just posted pictures with Sarah. And I was like texting Sarah, I'm like, what is going on? What are you saying about me down there? And she's like, girl, it's not me. Everybody's talking about you because I'm like the moth lady. So everybody, I guess everybody in West Virginia knows who I am now. And I'm like, oh no.
No, that's a good thing though.
Well, I mean, I'm not that sad about it. It just depends. The Point Pleasant residents don't like me very much, but everybody else there does. So everybody else loves me. That's so funny. So no, I'm excited. There's going to be a lot of different events, and I'm definitely going to I know I'm going to catch Sarah at some of them. I hope that I catch Kenzie at some of them, and everybody and so forth. It's been so fun to make all these friends online, and now I'm finally starting to get the chance to kind of meet everybody. And of course, eventually Pat and I are going to come together, and the world's going to just explode or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Seriously. I can't wait. I love to see it. It's so nice to see everybody meeting up with their pals, their online pals. And I'm really excited for CryptidCon because a lot of us are going to be there, almost everybody.
It's going to be it's going to be such a big thing. Anybody that's not on board yet, I'm like, you need to go. Like, I'm telling you, it's in November. You have plenty of time to plan. You need to go.
We've been trying to get Jeremiah to go. That seems to be the hardest one. Is he's like,
what does he need to go? Do we need to crowdfund him some tickets? I mean, what does
that's
he need?
what I keep saying is like, we'll crowdfund you, and he's like, oh well, I'll sell my stickers, and I'm like, don't tempt me, man. I'll buy all your stickers.
I think we should just do it. I think we should just set up a little GoFundMe and just do it.
I agree because I think he desperately needs to be there.
I agree. Yes, he does. He's kind of, like I said, he's kind of the daddy of the Clubhouse Club. He needs to, he needs to be there. He is Clubhouse daddy, yeah.
I feel like he's going to listen to this and he's going to be like, wow, I hate that.
But secretly love it. I know. It's hard. So funny. But no, I'm down for that. I mean, I think we should do it because between all of us, we'll get him there. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. He just needs to make sure he's got the time. That's what I'm going to tell him. You just need to make sure you have the time because we're going to get you here. So
I agree.
But anyway, so you just started at the International Cryptozoology Museum, right? Not that long ago. Probably within the last month you've been there.
Yeah, I think it's been about a month now.
How did you stumble upon that one?
So I follow Lauren Coleman on Twitter, and he tweeted one day about how he was looking to fill some summer intern positions. And, he tweeted about how he needed people to write in to him, physically write him a letter or mail him their resume. And he was like, I won't be taking any calls or emails. And I was like, I love that museum. Before I started working there, I went there all the time. And also, I think Lauren Coleman's very cool. So I was like, this would be a cool opportunity. So I wrote him a letter. And I don't own a printer, so I did not print out my resume. Literally just wrote him a little letter being like, please hire me. I'm qualified. And sent it to him. And he emailed me a couple weeks later and asked me to come in. And I was there for my interview, probably about 10 minutes. And then I was hired on the spot. So...
Wow. Now, have you met Lauren Coleman prior to this?
Prior to this, no. No, I gave him the links to my podcasts and my Instagram. And he was like, when he emailed me, he was like, you're clearly very qualified to speak on cryptozoology. And I was like, man, that feels good to hear.
That's a really, congratulations again on it. It is a really big, because Lauren Coleman, he's kind of, Jeremiah is the daddy of Clubhouse, but Lauren Coleman's like the daddy of cryptozoology, right? I mean, he's like,
Gene calls him the godfather of cryptozoology.
He really is, isn't he? Now, especially right now, he's the staple. We've had people, before him, but for our generation, that's definitely, I know that's where I got my start at was reading his, Cryptozoology, A to Z, and I used to frequent the Cryptomundo website, which he helped write on, and stuff like that. So, were you starstruck when you met him, or were you able to kind of keep it?
Kind of. I have a very weird. My teenage years were very strange and full of a lot of fame.
Same.
For a weird reason. But
which is
I was Twitter famous as a teenager, and I was famous in the metalcore scene. And I was friends with a lot of bands in the metalcore scene. And I got to meet a lot of people who were super famous in that scene. Wow. And it was a whole thing. And I we
need to talk off the record sometimes. Sounds like we have really similar childhoods.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to. What's funny is my roommate, who is now one of my absolute closest friends, was actually one of the people when I was a teenager who used to try to hook me up with street teams to try to get street teams like more recognition.
Wow.
I was like, that's so funny. And like, we didn't even know. And now we live together and we're super close friends. And we're like, that's hilarious.
That's such a small world, yeah.
But because of that, all that stuff that, you know, I did when I was a teenager, I am very much under the assumption and like, I guess just like general notion that famous people are just normal people. And I don't really like see them. I'm like, yeah, this is a really cool opportunity. Like, this is cool, but like, I'm not, you know, at a loss for words talking to you.
Sure.
And that's how it was with Lauren too. I was like, I was nervous more because I was like, this is a really huge opportunity for me and I would love to get this job. But you know, I wasn't like, oh my God, like it's Lauren Coleman. I can't even believe it. I was just kind of like, yeah, that's a man.
Right. Yeah. Well,
yeah, that's a guy.
Yeah. That's understandable. Now, what is it like working with him? Is he, I mean, I take it he's there often, isn't he? He's pretty much always there. Isn't he?
Kind of. I have only seen him a handful of times since I started working there. I mostly work with Gene and Nate. And they're both wonderful.
Nate, by the way.
Nate is awesome. Yeah, I love working with him. So I work with him and Gene more often, and every once in a while I see Lauren. I saw him the other day on Monday when I went in, because I went in a little early to bring in the Stallygaster whiskey that I bought for everybody, and I brought one back for the museum as well. So I saw him for like a second, but he doesn't come in that often. He stops by every once in a while, but he manages a lot from like home where he's doing all of his other work. So.
And that's, I mean, that's understand. I mean, you know what? The guy has worked his butt off enough. He deserves the rest.
Oh, for sure.
So that's,
he's definitely earned some time away from the museum. That's for sure.
Now, are you going to be part of this salamander expedition that's going on?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. We got that flag in the other day, and Lauren texted Nate and said, hey, can you guys take a picture of this? We were like, yeah, sure. And we were both just kind of like, we don't really know what this is about. We have like almost no information about it. And then Lauren was posting about it. And I was hoping that he would answer some of the questions about, you know, if it's going to be happening at the museum, like what's going on with it on Facebook, so that I could be like, okay, now I understand. But I honestly might just ask Nate when I go in on Thursday and be like, hey man, like, do you know any more about this? Because I have no idea what's going on.
I'm really curious to see what kind of comes out of that whole situation. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't think too. I want to see it.
But not yet. But I would love to see more of this happening, and it's kind of good to see stuff like this coming back again after the pandemic and things like that. So,
yeah, I agree.
It'll be really exciting. But I hope you do. I hope you do get like an honorary spot on the expedition. That would be great. Would you do it?
Absolutely, I would do it. I don't know if we'd end up getting honorary spots because someone's supposed to run the museum.
Yeah.
But I would take it in a heartbeat because that would be so cool.
Wow, that's really cool. So what got you started in the cryptozoology? I mean, what was your, earliest kind of encounter with this world, and what made you like, what was there any particular monsters that you were so excited to get involved with, or want to learn more about, that kind of started you off? Or
so I actually got my start in the like paranormal investigation world. My dad is a paranormal investigator. He has been since he was a teenager. He's in his 50s now. And when I was a kid, my dad and I are very, very close. And when I was a child, I just wanted to do nothing but hang out with him all the time. And I would beg my parents to let me go ghost hunting with my dad. And for about a year and a half, they were like, listen, you can't go. You're too young. And eventually they gave up and were like, okay, you can go. So I started doing paranormal field investigation with my dad when I was 8 years old. And around that time, learning that I had started doing this with my dad, my Nana, who used to babysit me a lot when I was a kid, started to talk to me about, she was very into ufology, and her like big focus was like the correlation between UFO sightings and Bigfoot sightings. That was like her big thing that she really liked to research. So when I was a kid, when she started to like learn that I would go ghost hunting with my dad, she started to try to tell me stories about, UFO sightings and Bigfoot sightings, and kind of teach me about all this stuff. Because she was like, okay, well, if you're doing this thing and like this doesn't scare you, like how about this stuff? And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And I remember being like a small kid and sneaking downstairs at 2 a.m. to watch like Spike TV or something.
Yeah.
And there was a show on about Mothman, and it was like a very dramatized retelling of like the original Mothman encounter. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. And I remember being so scared of it, but being like, wow, that's so sick. Like,
Yeah.
wish I knew what was up with that guy. And from there, like, I did paranormal field investigation with my dad until I was about 16. And then I started to switch gears a little bit into focusing more on cryptozoology by myself. And like my dad and I still go ghost hunting. We still do that very regularly. It's still very important to me. But I changed gears in my teen years and started to focus more on cryptozoology because it just was more of my passion. So that's kind of how I got where I am now. And, like I said earlier, I didn't start posting on the internet about this side of myself and like all of my research and, this part of me until very recently. Because I just was like, well, I don't really need to. It's, I'm content doing it on my own and just keeping my research to myself. And, during the pandemic, I was dating somebody who was very supportive, and he was like, you're very passionate about this. You love this stuff. Like, you should start talking about it online and just, try to teach people about some of these weird, obscure cryptids that you know a lot of stuff about because it makes you happy. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. So I kind of started my show as a YouTube series and then eventually transitioned into a podcast. And now I've got my solo show and my show with Sarah. So it's really cool to see like kind of where it's gone.
Yeah, I definitely, that's one thing is that, I've really been enjoying the sense of community, with it since also becoming, because I didn't do social media and stuff until about this time last year.
Yeah.
And I was never like, I've had to learn so much. I have no idea. I don't know how to hashtag and stuff, guys. But like, I don't really know what I'm doing. But
it's okay, you're doing great.
Well, thank you. I was just, I had no idea. I'm like, I had to learn all this stuff. I'm like reading guides, like how to get the most reach out of the things that you post about and how to do this and that and the other. And I'm just like, and I never filmed anything before and decided to make a documentary. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. So
I really love that we're all kind of in that same boat of like, we don't really know what we're doing, but we're having fun with it. So right,
we're here. Well, because then you get into the community and then like,
I'm 40. I've fucked up more things than you guys have even attempted. This is like the last ditch for me. After this, nobody gives a shit about me anymore. So
don't say that.
That's not true.
You know what? I will say that Pat's been one of my biggest cheerleaders. He really has. He's like, I didn't make it. You need to make it for me. I'm like, oh, okay, I will. I'll do it for
us. That's what happens when you become a parent. You just kind of give up on your own life, and you're like, well, maybe you'll do better.
Well, I appreciate the heck out of you. So, but yeah, I mean, it is really interesting. Now, are there any with your research and things? Because I don't know. I don't really know what you got in your back pocket. Do you have any like big theories on anything specific that you can share? I know some of it we kind of have to not share all of it, but
I mean, I don't really. I'm like, if you want to steal my theories, that's fine. They're usually bullshit anyway. Clearly, I think very highly of my own work. I don't know. Some of the theories I have, like I don't know if I could think of any like really solid ones right off the top of my head right now, but I have some theories about like the Dover Demon and New Hampshire has the Wood Devils of Coos County, and I have some theories concerning them, but like I don't know, I would rather like sit and research like what is available, like available information on like what whatever topic I'm looking at, and then if it's something that I can get to, I like to go out and like kind of do my own field research on it. I've been doing the Wood Devils research for a couple of years now, where I've just been going out in the field, and I have a couple spots that I circle around throughout the year, and that's like kind of cool, going pretty well. I mean, I'm going out this week, so if there's any big updates or anything, I'm sure I'll let everyone know.
That's what I tell people. A lot of the job is just sitting in the woods looking at nothing.
Yes.
And then something happens and it makes all that time that you spent doing nothing so worth it.
Well, it's fun because like my investigation team, like I have a little team of people, and we all go ghost hunting together as well. So,
Yeah,
and we're all really good friends. So it's like even though we're just sitting out in the woods, it's like still a fun time because we get to do it together.
yeah, yeah.
But, I have like my puck wedgies investigation I've been doing for a while, and it's just it's a slow process of like
Sure.
trying new things and doing things differently and just trying to figure out what works. And I don't know, maybe eventually I'll have a big breakthrough and I can share it with everybody. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is I mean, that's the thing you got to realize is that, these investigators, they've been around for a very, very long time now. While they have contributed these small pieces, to the big picture, nobody's, really discovered Bigfoot yet, right?
yeah,
I mean, nobody's, it's just all these tiny things that eventually will add up to it. I mean, will we have that holy grail one of these days? It could happen. I think it could.
yeah,
But until it does, all we're doing is furthering the research for the next generation, and
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
kind of
Speaking of which,
oh yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of which, like this being a generational research thing, is there any stories from your grandma that are worth sharing? I hate to put you on the spot like that, but like you talked about her kind of passing down all this stuff that she had collected over the years.
I mean, she was like an old lady who like barely knew how to use the internet. And she didn't do like any field research or anything. She literally would just like go on Google at the library and like look up articles about this.
Oh, I didn't know if it was something like, old people like tell stories and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I wish
you know what I mean?
more stuff for me like that. She gave me some very valuable stories that shaped me into who I am today. And she just passed recently. So I wanted to at some point be able to talk to her and be like, hey, like, what are your favorite Bigfoot stories? Some of the ones you told me when I was a kid. But unfortunately she passed. So I don't have that opportunity now. So I'm kind of just, remembering some of the things like, like, oh, what is that place called? Like Ape Canyon. Is that what it's called? You know what I'm talking about?
I think that is called Ape Can. I know what you're talking about, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, she really liked that. She thought that was neat. That was like one of her favorite things. And like,
I feel like that's not the actual name of it though.
No.
I feel like it's called something else. Oh well.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. I know.
I'm
Yeah.
a little drunk, so like.
Yeah, it's on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Ape Canyon. All right.
No, it's on Wikipedia.
Search engines, so doing my best.
No, you're fine. That's so funny. Well, I mean, I think that's pretty neat though. I mean, you come from a line of you. I mean, with me, like my mom is not interested in this. She's just recently started like getting into some of this stuff. She's been watching some shows on TV, and I'm not a great fan of the shows on TV when it comes to representing, investigators, but at least she's taking.
As far as representing investigators, I'm like, well, maybe not the best course of action, but I do like watching them because sometimes I'm just like, that's silly.
Sometimes it is so silly. When we had Tobias Whalen on, which I've been friends with for a while. I've read his book. I just watched his episode in Expedition X, and they they went to Point Pleasant and they went into the bunkers and they did this, and that's my stomping ground. And I'm just like, this is just so ridiculous, guys. They're like, so they're like in a boat, right? And they're out there on the water down there in the TNT area, and you can't touch that. Well, let me tell you right now, you touch that water, you got instant cancer. It's horrible.
Cool.
It's like, and they're like in a boat, and then like the guy like sticks the camera like in the water, but he like sticks his whole hand in the water. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Oh my God. See, I like that aspect of it though sometimes because it's definitely entertaining, and I'm like, you guys are being foolish, like, and I'll be sitting there watching it, being like, oh well, this is what I would have done.
Yeah,
my roommates are like, Kenzie, shut up, like we don't care.
Right. I mean, gosh, pay me money, I'll go do it the right way.
I know, right?
But I guess those are the
Zach
people
Baggins.
Right. I get, they're willing to go do the stupid stuff, I guess. So maybe that's why they make the money. I don't know. Stick their hand in the infected the TNT
cancer water.
The cancer water, yes. I'm like, I won't touch that. Like we came upon this area because we've been all over that area just because the history is so interesting anyway. But we've been all over. We came across this one area, and it's like you can like you can't really like, you have to like stop at some point because you have to cross over the water.
Yeah.
And it's right where, you can just step into the water. And I'm like, guys, I'm not stepping in that
Yeah.
water. And I'm not letting any of you step into that
I don't
water.
know about that. Probably don't.
I'm like, there's TNT and DNT and who knows what else in that.
Yeah.
No, we're not going it. We're not doing this. So, it was just, but it is, I see what you're saying. I mean, it can be entertaining because you're just like, that's not how this works.
Yeah. I'm like, well, that's a silly way to do that, but okay. I'm
Well,
glad you said that though, because I've been dying to get down there, and I literally never would have thought, like, hey, maybe don't touch the water that's right next to all this stuff.
well, first of all, if you go down there, I'm going with you.
Cool.
Second
good.
of all, yes, I will take you. I will take you and be your personal tour guide. Second of all, don't go when it's raining because then the water rises and kind of seeps into the ground otherwise.
That makes
And so,
sense.
and then it makes it like a terrible cancer swamp. So it's
Cancer swamp. Not the ideal vacation destination.
Yes, let's go see the beautiful cancer swamps in West Virginia. It's something. No, it's a lot of fun. I go there almost every other weekend. I haven't been going lately because it's been winter and
Yeah, that's fair.
Don't do anything. But
I understand that.
Yeah, so I mean, no, I'm happy to. I tell everybody, I'm like, I will tour you.
I would love
any
that.
reason to go, I will go. So, but. Anyway, so a couple of the things that, we want to talk about. I mean, I do think it's interesting that you brought up the fact that you were, Twitter famous for your, so you don't do that. You don't do that kind of stuff anymore. You're not in that circuit anymore. I don't want you to get too personal with it.
No, I mean, I was a teenager and I was like, this is so cool. This is so great. And then after a while, like things got really hairy. And I'll tell you about it another time because it gets like real sketchy. Yeah. But I deleted that Twitter and I was like, I'm done with this. Like, I'll move on. And I remade my one that I currently have now, like just a couple of years ago. So for a while I was like, I don't want to be on that platform again. Like that part of my life was very weird. So I just, but every once in a while I've thought about like what would be my life if I did still have that account. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure it would not be the way it is now if I still held on to that Twitter account I had when I was 15.
Yeah. I mean, as vague as you're talking, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm sure you won't be surprised about what I have to tell you, but.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. So, one of the things that I like to talk about a lot because, there's some very obvious, there's some very obvious differences with people like myself and Kenzie and people like Sarah and things like that compared to the rest of this community. Mm-hmm. And the differences of that is, and I'm just going to put it out there, is that we're young, hot ladies.
Yes.
Right. And so it's, I know I've kind of faced my own challenges and I've, kind of talked about them a little bit on the show. Kenzie, have you had any challenges being a young hot lady in this community?
I like all the time. At the beginning of the year, and like I've talked about this before. I talked about it on Clubhouse before. I've talked about it like on our Instagram lives before. I had somebody who I'm not going to name them because I feel like they've suffered enough under my wrath. But they had posted like, hey, I want to interview somebody for my podcast. And I was like, yeah, totally. And I like, replied to it. And I was like, I would love to be interviewed for your show. And they straight up replied to me and said, based on your profile, I don't think that you are experienced, serious, or knowledgeable enough about cryptozoology to be worth interviewing.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, so based on the fact that, you looked at my Instagram profile, you saw that I'm a young, hot woman, and you said there's no possible way she could be worth interviewing. And, I replied to him and I was like, hey, man, I have 16 years of field investigation experience.
Right.
And like in the paranormal and in cryptozoology. So like that alone is more than you have in your whole body. So like, I know that I don't look like the type of person who would be out there in the woods doing this stuff, but I am. And it's, really upsetting to me that you can jump to that conclusion based on my looks and just decide that I'm not worth knowing.
Excuse me. The 40-year-old white podcaster wants to interrupt your conversation about. So okay, you're going about this all wrong.
Okay.
I'm talking to the male audience members that are gatekeepers and are using it to do this. Like, this is the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do.
I wholeheartedly agree.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
this is, you're not supposed to punish chicks for being high. You're supposed to open doors for them.
Yes.
And these are the people that you want to interview. Are you crazy? Like, why would you not want to interview fucking hot guests? Like, it's counterintuitive. And that's why, like, when they say like involuntarily celibate, like, no, it's, you know, you're just going about everything's completely fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Not saying that you would have slept with this guy if you were on his fucking show, but like,
not.
what the fuck are you thinking?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Whenever that's not, I'll be completely honest. That's not the experience I thought that you were going to relate.
Yeah.
Of somebody actually closing a door in your face.
Oh yeah.
Because of the way that you look, because that, like I said, is completely counterintuitive. But man, that's gotta fucking suck.
Yeah, it's not great. It honestly, like, it's really, I don't know, it's very discouraging. And I feel like I, as a person, have a lot to offer, and I have a lot to bring to the table in terms of conversations about cryptozoology. So when this kind of stuff happens, I'm like, listen, man, I didn't ask to be born with titties. Like, I did not ask for this.
Right.
And yet here I am trying to make the best of it, and you're being rude to me because I have boobs.
How does that even make sense, though? Like,
I don't know.
why would, because if anything, you're going to have a greater appeal.
Yeah,
like
you would
somebody's somebody's seeing a picture of like, oh, this is who I'm interviewing this week. Like, people will check that out. You know what I mean?
I think it goes back to a lot of the, like, that thing that's imprinted and like ingrained in a lot of people's brains that like women are lesser than men, which is just not true. But like, you know, we still have like a society that views women, especially like traditionally pretty women and like women who are confident, as stupid. And yeah, I might be a dumb bitch, but like, I'm not stupid, you know?
Not say that.
But like, it's true. It's like, you know, I know that I'm young and I know that I'm pretty and like, but I'm really smart and I have a lot to bring to the table.
Yeah, but that also equals marketable and like and attention getting and like, and yeah, that's what's so fucking stupid is like.
And I think that's part of the reason Sarah and I's podcast does so well is that we've just been like, okay, well, if you don't like it, you don't have to listen to us. But like the people who want to hear what we have to say because we're hot and interesting and funny are going to stick around and listen.
I watched 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, there we go.
Well, and let me ask you, has there been, because it was, what I thought was interesting about your podcast is that it is YouTube only, which I guess makes sense, but has there ever been any thought about releasing it in like audio only format, or like that's not even
we do have it in audio only as well. It's on Spotify and Apple and Google and anywhere you can get podcasts, but we put it on YouTube as well just because we go through the trouble of recording the Zoom call. We might as well. And Sarah and I both are at the same idea of like, you know what, if people are gonna not take us seriously because we're hot or like whatever, like we're just gonna, and you know, people are like, you guys are cute, whatever, we're gonna use it to our advantage and be like, all right, well, here we go. You think we watch our show?
I was watching the Springfield Jack episode, and I was like, no, it was the Melonhead one, and I was like, which I know you're not supposed to say, apologies, but I was like, holy shit, like they put on makeup for this.
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
As somebody that streams like RPG games sometimes, like, you know, that whole thing, like on Twitch, I do that like every once in a while. And you know, I don't get dressed. I mean, I have clothes on, but like I'm not like I don't put on like an outfit or anything.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because you usually can't see the bottom half of me, but I'm usually wearing pajamas.
Yeah. Yes. Every stream that I do. I'm in pajamas. Well, you know, and that's kind of my whole personal brand, and that's kind of how I started with this because I model also.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and I realized really quickly that, you know, people aren't going to take me seriously because I'm a hot young lady.
Yeah.
And you know, but I have a lot of women that come to me and tell me how much I boost their confidence and make them feel comfortable and things like that.
That's the other side of it too, is Sarah and I very much, like when I was a kid, I wanted to be a cryptozoologist. I really wanted to be in the field, but there was no woman representation. And I was like, well, this isn't for me. I guess I can't do this.
Right.
And Sarah and I, our entire goal and like, what we're doing by like running a booth together at CryptidCon, and like, her and I are very friendly, very approachable people. Our whole goal is to like kind of be that, representation for young girls, but also people in the LGBTQ community and like others, like basically anyone who isn't a man, who doesn't necessarily feel comfortable, sharing their opinions on this stuff because it is such a male dominated field. Sarah and I kind of have just been like, well, we want to open the door for these people and like make them feel like they have a place to share their opinions and a place to share their research and feel comfortable doing so. So that's the other side of it.
I agree. And that's what I say. You know what I mean? Come for the boobs, but stay for the brains. You know what I mean? And so I'm very comfortable. Right. I'm very comfortable in my skin. I've had people be like, well, maybe people will take you more seriously if you didn't like take pictures with like your boobs and stuff hanging out. I'm like, why though? It's a part of me. It's my boobs. It's fine.
I don't know. That's one of those things that like, I know there's people that are into BDSM and that like it's cool that like they do all the stuff and they don't come, but I just can't wrap my head around it if you don't nut at the end. And like that's kind of like this. Like I don't get why you would hold that against somebody and think that it makes them a less interesting person to have around. Like that's who I would want to surround myself with.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Ladies. Yeah. Beautiful hot young ladies. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, what do you mean? Like, oh, these people don't deserve a chance, or they don't deserve a platform. Like, they deserve all the platforms. Who the fuck do you think? When I turn on YouTube, who do you think I want to see? Do I want to see that, or do I want to see another fucking bearded 40-year-old dude in his back room?
Very
you know
true.
what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, well, what's funny is one time I tweeted, this was like probably like a month ago, you might have actually seen this. I tweeted and I was just like, sometimes I just tweet things because I'm just like, I'm thinking about this, I want to talk about it. And I had tweeted something about the Dyatlov Pass, and I had some rando man who does not follow me just like pop up out of nowhere and start talking a bunch of shit to me in my Twitter mentions. And I was like, okay. And he, he's like trying to prove me wrong and like gotcha me. And he sends me this YouTube video, and I guess I didn't respond fast enough for him, because he then tweeted at me again and said, yeah, that's what I thought. So silent when you're proven wrong. Go do your makeup or something. And I was like, okay. I was like, I am going to do my makeup. I'm going to look beautiful, and I'm still going to be right.
Right.
Take that.
That's what happened. I'll tell a similar story. I had this guy arguing about, we were talking about the megalodon. Okay. And he's like, oh, the megalodon is real and the government's just covering it up. I'm like, well, why would the government cover up the megalodon?
How could they?
Well, right. How could they? And why would they? I'm like, if they ended up discovering, they're like, well, because it's bad for fishing and it's bad for tourism. And it's like, okay, but listen, if it's about money, if they discovered the megalodon, then they could make like a fake funding and put all the money in there to pretend that they're researching these things and overpad it and then use that money and take it. And then, after I said that, oh, you're just redheaded garbage. You don't know what you're talking about.
Redheaded garbage. Wow.
Redheaded
Very
garbage.
specific.
I was like, wow.
You know what though? I honestly, that happens to me too, and that's just the internet. Like I've had people come at me for such. I said something about like people that bark. Oh, it was people that back into parking spaces are the same type of people that don't wear masks or something.
Okay, yeah,
and like. Or there's a direct correlation between people that back into parking spaces and people that don't wear masks. And like, dude, the amount of people on Twitter that like, come on, this is like not even that funny of a joke. And it was like you said, like a random observation that I just made. But people felt the need to argue. Like, and I didn't even engage any of them. Like, you know what I mean? I was just like, whatever, dude. Like, I don't know. You're a stranger. You're not following me. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
That's just the internet.
When it comes to people like arguing with me or wanting to like debate a topic with me, I'm like totally fine with that. I'm like, let's go. Let's talk about it. Like, we're on a public platform. Like, let's have a conversation. But my big problem is when people like don't agree with me, and instead of like arguing their point to me, they start trying to tear me down and throwing out things like, oh, well, you're a woman, how could you know about this? Or like, go do your makeup or something. Like, I'm just like, why do you have to like, and also in this case with the guy in the Dyatlov class, I was absolutely right. There was like no ifs, ands, buts about it. Like, I was right. I was correct. He was wrong. So I was like, it's just like, I don't know.
It doesn't matter like how nice you try to be to these people. And that's kind of, that's what I was saying, which I'm sure you might have caught some of the conversation when you first came on. I was discussing, I'm in this live stream and I don't believe the LBL witness. And, so he's talking and I'm kind of picking apart his story. And he was asked, why did you come out now after all these years? And he's just like, oh, I don't know. I'm 54 years old. I just, wanted to tell people. I'm like, well, that's kind of weird because like credible eyewitness accounts, and I know I speak to 2 or 3 of them every day. Credible eyewitness accounts, typically they come out because they're searching for answers, right? They want to know what they saw. They want to know what they experienced, and they want a sense of community and in order to connect with other people. Now, is that always the case? No, it's not always the case, but and a lot of the times it does seem to be the case. And I had made that one comment. All of a sudden this person's attacking me. They're like, well, why would you pick apart his whole story just because of that one incident? I said, well, it's not because of the one incident. And I just kept saying that there's not enough space and I don't have enough time. I got to go record the show because I'm actually like, I actually do this kind of stuff, but like, that's not why, like, that's not why I don't believe it. And it turned into this big thing. And like, they're like, well, that's what's wrong with investigators is you guys have a bias and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, I believe in anomalous phenomena so much that I do this full time for a living. Like, this is my job. Like, and it just ended up being this whole, but again, like Pat says, that's just kind of the internet for you. You're going to have people that disagree with you, and that's fine. But it's how they go about disagreeing. It's like, well, if you want to, and that's what I told this person, I can't talk about it right now. I'll talk to you about it later, but I can't at the moment. And, but of course, all it's going to be is just personal attacks and ridiculousness. And I already know, you already know kind of going into it, you kind of gauge these people from the start. So, but
I just wish people would attack me for like the way I spell or something, like attack me for something else. Like don't attack me for the fact that I'm beautiful because that's not my fault.
Right. That's just jealousy.
I didn't ask to be like this.
Like another instance that I've noticed is that I think that I am, and maybe it could be ego, but when you're a woman, you kind of have that woman's intuition, right? I think that I could be an argument in certain people's households. So like talking to some of these other like older respected investigators in the community, I've had instances where I think that like their wife gets mad that they talk to me. And I'm not gonna point fingers and say who, but there's definitely like kind of some weird evidence there where some shade has been thrown from the wives. And it's like, why? Why be that way? Because chances are I'd sleep with you before I slept with your husband.
Oh yeah, I feel that for sure. Sarah was telling me she had a situation like that recently too, and she was telling me about it when I was at her house, and I was just like, I don't understand that.
It's strange.
It's like, I'm trying to talk to your husband about cryptids, man. Like,
right.
That's not really a panty dropper. Like, we're talking about, Mothman. Like,
right. But it is weird. But then again, I guess that just goes to show how much more, the inclusion is needed, and how much more we need positive, representation for other women in the field to show that like, you could be confident and sexy and also smart and know what you're doing and respected. So, I think that it's,
so
go ahead.
I got something to say about that too. And Kenzie, you might be able to back me up on this.
Okay.
So that whole thing reminds me of being in a band, and I was in bands for most of my 20s.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to date the musician, but no one wants to be married to one.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, it's very attractive to be involved with somebody who gets on stage and does all that. But once you guys are in a committed relationship or you feel like possessive of them for whatever reason, the last thing you want this person that's yours that you feel possessive of to do is to get up on stage and then share themselves with a larger audience.
Yeah.
And that's like it's such a catch-22 because that's what attracted you to the person in the first place. And then now that you have them, the first thing you want to do is put a basket over their light. And I think that's what that comes from. I don't know.
I would agree.
Yeah, I
would agree with that.
Totally not speaking from personal experience, but
you well, and I say that a lot. I made this tweet a couple of months back, and it was about going on dates. And when you go on dates and you're an internet personality or you're a public figure of some sort, it's unfortunate because like you'll meet somebody, one of the first things you tell them is what you do, right? Because we know this is Kenzie knows this is pretty much all of your life is spent doing stuff like this all the time.
Oh yeah.
And so if inevitably talk about it, then they talk to me, then they go and listen to my show and things like that, and they'll go scope my social medias, and then we'll go on a date. Then I don't really get the chance to tell them much of my own personal stories, and then they get to know the my
Like your
persona.
internet persona.
Right, instead of me as a person. And so it's, and as much as I do try to be me, you know, and that's one of my things, is that I can never be anything else but me. It's still very exaggerated.
Yeah.
So
My internet persona is exactly the person I am in real life.
Yeah,
Like 100%.
I used to pick up chicks off LiveJournal. So at that point, like you've been reading each other's diaries for a couple weeks. So like when you finally meet up, like you probably are more comfortable with them than you should be, and then shenanigans ensue in that way. But it's never I don't know. I'm just from a different school because I'm a little bit older.
Weird, like having that one-sided, like they know who I am and I have no idea who they are, and it's strange, you know.
Yeah,
really weird.
I get like I'll do dating apps and stuff, and like realistically, I don't have time for dating. I'm a very busy person, and I don't really have a lot of time, but I like to swipe through and like chat with people, whatever. And the biggest thing I get is that people try to debunk everything I talk about.
Yes.
Which drives me insane.
Yes.
And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, if I wanted to talk to you about debunking this theory, I would have asked you that. But
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I had this guy who I had, matched with on a dating app, and I was chatting with him. He followed me on Instagram. He starts listening to my show. And then every single time he would listen to an episode, he would message me and be like, here's why I think this thing is bullshit.
What the fuck?
I'd be like, man, I did not ask.
Right.
He's finding excuses to talk with you, but obviously
he's doing it wrong. It's not the right
He's
way.
a little lacking in the common sense department.
No.
But he's showing you that, like, hey, you made this thing. I took the time to listen to your thing.
Should I thank him next time, you think?
Yeah.
No, I'd say he's kind of, if his soft skills are that poor, you don't want to get fucking deeper into that.
Well, that's true.
But I think that doesn't necessarily come from a place of trying to one up you and prove you wrong. It's probably just fucking he's trying to initiate conversation.
It's just weird, though.
I will tell you one thing. I've used dating apps in the past. I'm not currently on any, but I've definitely used them, and I have never, ever met anyone off of them ever.
Oh my god, I met my wife on Match.com.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, I've never met anyone off of them.
I've met a lot of people on Tinder.
Well,
yeah.
Stuff like Match is good because it verifies that the other person has like $2.99 a month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was always very leery of the free dating sites like Plenty of Fish or like what was it? I don't fucking know. Not Tinder. What was the one before Tinder?
I have no idea.
Whatever.
Dating apps.
Hot or Not? No, I don't know.
Oh my god, Hot or Not. That is a.
But like, the free ones, it's like anybody can make a profile. Anyone can get on there, And I felt like just having like the bare minimum of like, do you have a credit card? Do you have $2.99 a month? Like, it very much like cut the lower echelon out. And,
I'm like scared to meet people offline. I'm like, I'm gonna meet those. I watch too many like true
crime
documentaries.
Only will hang out with people from online in group settings, and for a while I was like, only like I would invite dudes or like women that I met on dating apps to the bar and like not tell them that my entire friend group would be there just in case they were thinking about murdering me.
Yeah,
and then I'd be like, well, it's fine.
Right. I mean, it's. I mean, you're still alive so far. So I mean,
so clearly it's working.
I mean, that's such a bummer that even has to register on your radar because much as I did tons of internet dating and I never ever had to worry about that. You know what I mean? Like, that just wasn't my experience. For me, it was and I think back then it was, right now it's very commonplace for people that aren't necessarily tech savvy or nerdy to be online.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times you have people that like can barely function their cell phone. And then they had like a coworker say, oh, this is how you like put the app on for them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like, you could tell like they barely understand what they're doing. But I mean, turn back the clock 10, 15 years. And if the internet was still there, but it wasn't all over the place.
Yeah.
Right. So like if you were going to meet somebody online, like, yeah, definitely the weirdos were still there, but it was more likely they were just nerdy, awkward people, or they were like real hot punk chicks that lived in the suburbs and like wanted to come into the city and shit. So like, obviously you would go out there and you had to get in your car and drive and, and there's been plenty There's been plenty of times I've been driving in the expressway in the middle of the night with fucking an address written on a piece of mail, like hoping I didn't miss my exit. Just no GPS.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's I guess that's a good point. I don't know. I mean, I'll get on there and I'll like chit chat with people. For the most part, I just don't think there's anybody that's really been interesting enough. But maybe that's because I've never invested.
That's how I feel too. It's like
I feel like it's a lot of, hey, how are you? I'm good.
Yeah.
How are you? I'm good.
Well, and also like I have a pretty large friend group around here. I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I very much feel like that I've met all of the super interesting people I'm going to meet, and they're all already my friends.
Yes, I agree.
Like unless someone moves in from like Colorado, it's like they're probably already on your radar.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it is here.
And also, I don't have time.
Circuits. Yeah. Right. And well, with the pandemic, and of course, obviously, stuff like that doesn't really happen, nowadays. But I have no idea how we started talking about dating.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how we got here.
That's so funny. But yeah, I mean, it can be, like I said, it can be difficult when people kind of get to know you through your, via your persona rather than, you. And then it's like I said, it's a one-sided conversation. I mean, I had this one guy I was talking to, and he listens to every single episode, and he will, he doesn't message me and he's like, oh, you're wrong about that. Actually, he's really interested in all the topics I talk about, which is nice, but it's like, maybe we should like sit down and talk about them. Like,
yeah, maybe we could talk about them like not via just you listening to my podcast.
It's weird. Yeah, it's really strange. But okay, all right. I guess whatever. I get it. He just wants to be involved, like Pat was saying about the one guy. I understand, but that is a really weird way to go. But why not just be like, hey, what are your thoughts on this, without telling me that you listen to my show? I don't.
Yeah.
Weird. So I don't. It's just strange to be that way, I suppose. But
yeah. I think the biggest opener I get on like dating sites now is people just being like, what's your favorite cryptid? And I'm like, oh, let me tell you. And then they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yes.
Like, why did you ask then?
Yeah.
Although I will say, I had one guy recently who I've been chatting with, and he asked me, and I was like, it changes like weekly, every once in a while. It's just something else. And I was like, currently it's the Mapinguari, like been thinking about that a lot. And he goes, oh, is that the Sasquatch thing with a mouth on its stomach? And I was like, oh. I was like, you know what that is? I was like, interesting.
I think Kenzie found a husband, guys.
I think old boy knows how to Google on the fly.
I know, right?
He did well,
not to piss in your Cheerios, but
I admire the effort though, because most people are just like, I don't know what that is. I don't know why I asked, and I'm like, I don't know why you asked either. So he at least put the effort in to be like, oh, okay, I'll look it up real quick.
Right. He's probably reading a whole book right now about it. I don't.
Yeah, really. He also asked me to explain the missing 411 to him, and I was like, oh, okay, so you really want to know about this weirdo shit? I was like, you got it, buddy.
I bring that up every once in a while because I'm a huge fan of that. Those episodes of Coast to Coast. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's weird and crazy. And I don't have like one specific theory that I'm sold on as to like why it's happening, because I feel like it's definitely a mixture of a lot of things. But there is one theory that is like absolutely bullshit and like very bananas, but I think it's so funny that I love to talk about it. And it's the theory that all of the mountains are actually hollowed out cave bases, and that the aliens live inside of them, and the government is funding the aliens in their like experiment and work in these caves, and they are just snatching people, and that's why there's no like government record of missing 411 people. And it's very funny, and I'm like, that's probably not what's happening, but it's hilarious.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, in regards to like Dulce, New Mexico, which is something we've talked about on the show before, like that could be possible. Yeah. But as far as like in all the national parks, like in all the mountains, like I don't know. I'm going to the Smoky Mountains this summer. I sure as hell hope not. Like that would be kind of
fun. Is how many people like subscribe to that idea though. Like it's kind of scary. Like all these people are like, oh, that could totally be possible, and it's like, guys, I mean,
I think there's a world that it could be a little bit possible, but maybe like not to that extent, and like not as crazy.
Yeah.
Well, parts of that could be true. Like, they could be suppressing the records. Okay, that's fine. It could be alien snatching people. Okay, that part's fine. Are there probably hollowed out mountain bases somewhere in the world? Yes, of course there are.
Yeah, for sure.
But do all those things align, and that's what's going on in these cases. Like, I don't think so.
Well, that's why I think it's like probably a mixture of a bunch of different things happening. Like, I don't think there's like one singular phenomena that's responsible for missing 411.
Yeah. I always bring that up because whenever people start talking about Bigfoot and stuff, like as someone that like has been very interested in this stuff for a very long time, I never gave a shit about Bigfoot. I always thought it was like Harry and the Hendersons, like it was kind of stupid and benign.
Yeah,
wasn't very sexy until those stories popped, and then I was like, holy shit! Like these things could be malevolent plane shifters that are kidnapping Boy Scouts. Like this is awesome, man. And it totally ignited my interest in it. And if you go back and listen to some of I forget the guy's name that wrote the books, but some of the early Coast to Coast interviews he did with George Norrie, they're very, very creepy and very eerie because he would never go into too much detail about what he suspected. He would just talk about the individual disappearances.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of those are like real chilling, especially if you're listening at like 3 a.m. and shit. But,
yeah, definitely. It's an interesting thing. I mean, I think that there is definitely something to the cave systems. Like I said, you map it. If you map it, there is. I mean, it's very obvious when you put it all together and see these like clusters of all these, not just like the missing 401 people, but just clusters of high strangeness. And then it's obvious that yes, something's happening. But is there a hollow earth? No, I don't think so, guys.
It's just so bizarre that I'm like, it's so funny to explain to people that that's a real theory.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. I mean, but it's just so.
Well, that's why there's so many mattress firms.
Do you think
that's where they kidnap people?
The mattress stores. Yeah, that's where the elevators are in the back room, and they go down to the underground trains.
There's a mattress firm in my town. I'm gonna go.
If you ever notice, this is honestly true. I mean, I don't know if we've really talked about this in the show too much, but if you notice, like especially by me, and I guess it's pretty widespread. They have a tendency when you think about how many people really need to go to a mattress store to buy a mattress.
Not that many.
Yeah, but there seems to be a lot of mattress firms, and they'll even be like in kind of close proximity to each other too.
Yeah.
And some people theorize that they're fronts or that they.
Yeah, I could see that.
Something like that, but
it is weird. I mean, when you do look into the mattress, and I don't think it's just mattress firms. I think it's just mattress stores in general. I mean, you have like competitors right across the street from each other, and it's like, who's buying?
I've never actually seen somebody buy a mattress from a store.
Really?
Right. You would think that like you would just need like kind of a storefront because it's getting delivered. You're not driving out of there with it.
Yeah, no.
So you kind of go to a storefront and like, oh, here's the mattresses we have, and then people look at it and say, okay, I want that, and then great, we fill out the paperwork and you're out of here.
Yeah.
It's not like there's aisles that you have to walk down.
Yeah,
but yeah, Google that sometime. I mean, that's a big theory.
Google it.
Or have one of your guys Google it.
Start asking your dating app guys, like, what do you think about the mattress stores?
I'm just gonna put it in my Tinder bio.
I'm only here for the mattresses.
Tell me about your mattress firm theory.
If they don't know what you're talking about, they're not crazy enough for you.
So. I know.
That's so funny. Yeah, it is. That is missing 401. It there's something happening. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We can't deny that. It's just what we don't know yet. I mean, why aren't people really going into these caves and things and finding out? I mean, I guess because they end up missing.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they are, but they just don't come back afterwards. That's the problem.
That's I mean, so maybe that's not a good idea, guys. Maybe don't go running out into the caves. But without protection, always wear protection.
So NPR did a story about the mattress firm conspiracy theory. I'm posting on Twitter right now. Fucking NPR.
Oh my god.
So there you
go. I just Googled it like right this. I'm gonna read it when we're done because I have to know.
You'll have to let us know. You'll have to update us on what you think
I will.
of the mattress.
Absolutely will.
What your mattress theory is.
During our whole drive to Maryland, me and my roommate were just pointing out stores that we thought were probably fronts the whole time, and that's something we do regularly because in New Hampshire, almost every single store that you see looks like a front.
I do that here all the fucking time because like the burger places will pop up and I'll go there and clearly those people are not interested in serving food and have never worked in a hamburger place before in their life. And yeah, I swear to God, I think some of them are fronts or like barber shops.
Yeah,
where like you go in. Yeah, because how do you keep track of how many like heads you cut? You don't. It's a great way to launder money.
My ex-boyfriend actually worked in a barber shop, so they do have good methods of keeping track of how many people's hair they cut.
Oh, well, so there's some sus things happening
through their appointments. When you book an appointment,
right? But I mean, okay, so that's for internal bookkeeping. But like think about what you hand over to the government, like as far as taxes and stuff.
I guess that's fair.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a great way to say, like, oh yeah, we had 15 customers today, and really you didn't have any. And then the money that was supposedly generated from those 15 customers is like drug money that you're laundering through the business.
That is fair.
Like, I've walked into barbershops around here and like been like, you're not a fucking haircut person. Like, you're just a dude. Like, get the fuck out of here.
There's a bookstore. There's a town near me called Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and there is a bookstore that has been there since I was born, I'm pretty sure. And like maybe before that I have never seen a single person inside of, but somehow it still exists. And since I was a kid, have very much thought that it was like a front for money laundering. Cause I was like,
have you ever gone in there?
Yeah. I've gone in a couple times just to like really try and figure out if it's a real place or not. And there's like never anybody even working in there. So I'm like, I don't really know it's definitely like the most liminal space I've ever been in.
All right, a bookstore in this economy, come on.
Yeah, honestly. And it's always like, the lights are always on. It always says it's open. It's just like, I'll take a picture next time I drive by, and I'm going to send it to you so you can see, because it's a crazy place.
Yeah, if you like pull like one of those books like off the shelf, like the bookshelf will spin.
Yeah, right? And like a secret passage opens.
There you go.
And then you find all the missing 401 aliens.
Oh my God, they're all in the bookstore. Figured it out, solved it.
I think that's case closed, guys. I mean, that's
I think
that's so. It. You want
tell David Paulides to stop writing books. We solved it.
Oh, right. You can have one more hurrah, I guess, but it could be. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Did you try to pull it in any of the books when you were in there?
No, I was afraid to touch anything.
See, that's what you need to do. That's
everything has like a really thick layer of dust on it.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Well, you find the one that doesn't.
Yeah, right.
And that's the one.
Yes.
That's the one they're using.
Like if I'm in there for more than like 20 minutes, they're going to unleash a firing squad on me. Like it's really got a bad vibe to it. So it's something.
We're going to figure out what we're going to put the internet to work. We'll have somebody else
we'll
can go.
Teams.
Yes.
Everyone can spend 20 minutes in the bookstore pulling on books. And you have to swap out.
Find the one.
Yeah.
Whoever doesn't come out, we know that they found the one. We don't know what happened, but
yeah, maybe then we storm the building, we figure it out. I don't know. We'll burn that bridge when we get to it.
We hold a coup at the bookstore.
Yes.
I'm here for it. I think it needs to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone come to New Hampshire. We're gonna figure this out.
We're gonna storm a bookstore.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, on that note, guys. Pat, do you have anything else to add here?
Yeah, you by the ocean?
Yeah.
Do you ever worry about tsunamis?
No.
All right.
There's never been a tsunami in New Hampshire, I don't think. So I don't think about it that much.
No tsunamis. That's interesting. Well, tsunamis are more of like an island thing, aren't they?
Yeah. New England is not known for its tsunamis, so.
You guys have hurricanes, right?
No, not really. We have
because
like nor'easters.
Oh.
Like crazy blizzard ice storms.
Oh, that's well, we do too. So
yeah,
we're not that different. Just you guys have ocean and we don't.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, we don't have tsunamis.
That's so funny. Well, okay, all right. Well, Kenzie, do you want to plug your stuff one more time? To say the names of your shows. Of course, we're going to link everything. But
yeah, sure. So my solo podcast is called the Crypto Chats podcast, and then I also have Manic Pixie Dream Goals podcast. That's my show with Sarah Cooper. And you can also follow me on Instagram if you'd like. I am a hot girl as promised. So my Instagram is @cryptidbaddie. That's all I got.
Okay. And she is, guys. She's really hot. You should see her. I know we didn't do cameras this time, but take your word for it. That's that's so funny. All right, guys. Well, on that note, we'll close this out, and then we'll see you guys back here next Wednesday.